Hello, everyone. Good morning. So, a lot of parents, when they watched our podcast, told me, I get the approach of I'm not gonna talk a lot, less text. But then there's a lot of theories out there that say you should give them the explanation because you're not zeroing them in that sense. That's what the old generation did. Why? Because I said so. And we don't want to adopt that because I said so approach because that's very harsh. But then again, I agree with you in saying you're not going to over justify yourself as to why you have to talk on the phone now, as to why you need to go downstairs and have a cup of tea or a glass of wine, or because you need to go now and it's time to leave. So I think they need to separate, and maybe you can give more practical advice on how to make that shift, on how they need to have less words and more action without guilt that they're not giving sufficient explanations that the kid deserves because he's a respectful individual on his own.
Yeah, what I said about too much text is in the situation that there is this panic, chaos, whatever is going on, the situation in which you actually should use your authority, there is less text the best solution. You can always talk with your children on another moment. Yeah, you can explain why you sometimes have rules, but always in a way that the other one is also calm and that you are calm.
You see, it's not either my way or the highway. What you're saying is use your authority at times where you feel like it's going to give a rhythm to let's get the kids in the car, let's get going, let's get the showers done, the practical things that need to be done with the caretaking of a child. But use the affection and the explanations and the bridging on another occasion, on another opportunity.
I think a communication, talking with your child is definitely very important. Yeah, the more you can actually play with them and explain, but then in a way that the other one feels it's safe to talk about things. In the situation that you correct, it's for the child. It has to be one way. It has to be so clear that at this time this is the best thing to do like this. I'm your parent. We have to do this, so we do it. But when you start at that moment already pleading and pleasing, then it's very confusing because it still needs that one way of how this is the rule at this moment.
Yes. For example, one of the days recently when we were at a party, Arya said, "You're the worst parent because you're the only one that always takes me and leaves first. I'm always the first child to go away." And I thought about it and I thought she's right. We do leave first. Yeah. But then maybe because some of her friends don't have younger siblings that are at home and I need to go take care of that, or maybe because I'm pregnant. So in my head, I had full justifications for it. Normally, I would end up in a discussion saying, yes, but we have your sister, but I'm pregnant and I'm starting to... So I remembered you saying you don't need to be that elaborative of, because in my head in the past it was, okay, she's a clever individual, even though she's 5 or 6. Let me explain to her my reasoning so that she understands she's not my mom being paranoid and illogical, irrational. This is my mom's 1, 2, 3 reasons for it. Nowadays, I just say, it doesn't matter, we have to go. Yeah. But the other families are still there. In our family is going.
Yeah, you can also say someone has to be the first one.
Yes, and when we got
in the rest will fall.
Yes.
And then you can talk in the car about
Exactly. So when we got in the car, that's when I explained, Ariamo, it's already late. The other children are following soon. We have maybe a longer drive, or maybe we have still to shower both 2 children.
But did you start the conversation explaining, or was she still wondering why she was...
Yeah, she was still moaning.
Yeah. Because actually, when she's still moaning about it, you give the explanation in a very calm way.
In a very calm way, and in a very matter-of-fact tone. Yeah. Not in a, oh, but, please feel sorry for me, and these are my reasons, or I'm angry, you don't understand my reasons, and in a very matter-of-fact tone. And then in the end, she said, is that how you parent me? And I said, yes, I'm here to parent you, not to please you. And that's when I got this quote in my head that it's important to remember we're not the pleasers, we're the parents. You know? And again, that was from our discussion.
Yeah, because actually you see a lot of parents actually like trying to please the children because actually they are afraid that they don't love them, or they really need the approval of the child almost.
Yes, to be their friend and to be their companion.
But you give your child a big burden to carry. You're responsible, it becomes responsible for your happiness.
Why?
Because actually you want to be like loved by it. Mm-hmm. So it's a big responsibility for a child.
Expand on this a bit more. I need a bit more before I shift.
Because actually you can say like, like a new age parents actually are explaining, for what are you explaining it? Yeah, what is your reason? What is the purpose of explaining?
Okay, so the inner real underneath intention is to be loved by them and to be liked and to have a friend in them.
Yeah.
And that's wrong because...
It's not wrong, but you make it as if the child now is responsible for your happiness.
It's too much of a heavy burden on them subconsciously.
Yeah, because the child feels that you're maybe insecure about the love from your child.
Whereas it's important for me to remember that being an authoritative parent with consistent rules, I'm still loved and equally cherished and admired.
And I'm the parent. I'm the mom. And will never anything be something else to this child. I'm the mother or the father.
Yes, we're trying too much to be their best friends. They will make best friends and they will have their own impact in the personality of our children, correct?
Yeah, but you can be friends with everyone, but you only have one father and one mother. Mm. And when you know that that is your role and you take the responsibility of that, then you can't go wrong. And then you don't have to be liked and pleased and loved, because that is like part of it. Mm-hmm. And when you find that so simple, your child finds it simple. When you make it complicated by trying to be loved.
And displeasing them in the household, again, that's something I find that parents say, and I think it's wrong. They confuse it that, oh, if I displease them in the household, then they will learn to be that it's okay to be displeased in the friendship circle, in the social circle, in the work circle later on in life. But surely they have the cleverness to separate that. No, that was, come on. I mean, that was in the household, my parents setting rules, and it doesn't mean that on a social level with my peers, I will learn to be displeased and be okay with it and just shut up about it. Correct?
Yeah.
I mean, you need to just clarify that, because there's that misconception again, which I think is so wrong in a way. I mean, our parents displeased us, and yeah, we have voice with our peers and with our work colleagues. Maybe we could have even a greater voice or less, I don't know.
Yeah, therefore it's so important that when you have this authority and rules and clarity and what we find the base for it, it all gives safety. And then when you know that it all gives safety, then you're safe to step into this world and to make your own mistakes maybe. But you still actually are safe with the feeling like when you go home to your parents, they will actually like always represent that.
So in a way, less pleasing and more authority creates a better foundation for them to not be pleasers out there.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
You see? Whereas they think displeasing them at home is teaching them to be okay with the feeling of being displeased. Do you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So, but that's the insecurity of the parent who thinks like that.
Why?
Because actually and you think that you have to give your child that kind of idea, the feeling.
That emotion, yeah.
While you actually show how much you need it at that time.
how much
Correct.
you need to be pleased
Yeah.
by that child, or generally you're lacking that emotion in life
No, from your child.
from your child in that dynamic.
Therefore, you see those children really become aggressive.
Or
Because
pleasers.
Yeah, there's all kinds of variation in it, but also aggression comes up.
Yeah, they become...
Because why should you actually like please your parent? Or like giving the showing your love.
So in a way, it's
The
not
child
your role
thinks-
to please them, and it's not their role to please you either.
Yeah, because actually like they love you. There is unconditional love in the parent-children relationship. It's a big thing. Unconditional love. So it's not about like explaining from like how much I love you from here to the moon and back. It's always. When we actually make that plea that we have a child and we have this like, how do you say that?
What?
A kind of...
Pact.
Yeah, pact with yourself that unconditional love is there.
Yeah.
Then it's not a matter of like the likes and the loves and the
And the pleasing moments.
and the pleasing moments. Then it's always safe, whatever happens.
And then how, and then you were saying, and I interrupted, with that foundation of safety, they can go out there in the world in any field and be more confident as adults. So
Yeah. When you have that kind of like safety net behind you, that you know that your parents always love you. How wonderful is that?
Yet they had always rules that made things peaceful and safe.
Yeah. Because actually like a parent that finds everything okay has no opinion. Very scary for a child.
A bit spineless.
It is spineless.
Yes. I'm going to tap into something that one parent said to me after following our podcast, which kind of like links to this. They said, does Will know how spineless we are as like Greek Cypriots? Our Mediterranean approach is so, yes, give it all to the child, and you know, all this givingness and expressive firework that is, you know, maybe the good thing of the Mediterranean mentality can work negatively into managing to have rules and authority, because maybe a Mediterranean person has less skill to set rules and yet show affection. They kind of confuse setting rules with not showing affection, whereas I find that the Scandinavian model, hence perhaps there's so many books saying how Danish parents are the best parents, Danish kids have been like ranked as the happiest children, have higher level of ability to, I don't know, put in place rules in the house, yet let their child free to flourish and be loved.
I think
So there's a lot of comments of, is Will talking from a perspective of the Greek Cypriot? Gori.
I think, like, of course, like a culture also has to do something with it. Huh? Like,
yes, the culture. Yes,
yeah.
that's the main.
you raise a child in a certain culture.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course, you have a history in that culture. You have parents, grandparents that actually also have their influence on your child.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not about like that you in your household have to hold on with the culture that you think that is normal. Then the rule is then because actually the culture says this or that.
Yes, but a lot of parents said, how do I break that culture in my head? Because it's part of my...
But therefore, that's what I mean. It's like, as long as it's bothering you, then it's your personal idea about like, what shall I do and I can't do it. So like where I come from, I mean, like I had my Dutch upbringing, but I live already 35 years out of Holland. Yeah. So I've seen a lot of parenting in different cultures. And I respect definitely also what the grandparents and the parents bring in from that kind of culture. But I talk specifically about like the things that you can't handle in your household, in your family. So, and there is no culture. There you bring your own culture. There you bring your own ideas. And we talk already about like advanced parents or advanced people in this world. So you may bring maybe a different kind of idea into it.
Yes, but I feel like a lot of confusion is coming from their way that they read the Danish parents' book and they have the Greek background, culture.
But it's
so
also
the
used.
cocktail becomes funny.
Yeah, but in a way, it's also used then as an excuse. Yeah, but I have a different culture. We talk about love. We talk about like being peaceful, like raising your children that they are good people in this world and that they know that you speak the truth and that they actually made truthful in life. It has nothing to do with culture. And of course, like there's a lot of things that interfere there. And that is common sense that you say like, okay, sometimes there's a sniff here from this or
Yes.
yeah. And of course you don't do it exactly in the same way, like going to bed, like when your child actually is here going to the beach and you have late dinners, and then you don't bring your child at that time at 7 o'clock to bed or 6. Well, when you live in a country where you don't go out and at 6 o'clock everybody comes from the office and have dinners.
Oh yes, you tapped on something really important, because a lot of parents say, I read a lot of books that say 6 o'clock they're in bed, but we in Cyprus finish work at 6 and we're heading out to the beach.
Yeah.
So
that kind of flexibility also should be there. But when you know that you have every time a crying child at 9 o'clock.
Yes, and an exhausted parent.
And then that sniff of Cyprus is gone, and then you're only actually are in panic and chaos. Yeah. Then at that time you also have your own rules. And therefore it's not to say like, and you have to hold on to it. No, that flexibility is very important. But it's your idea, do I do the right thing? If I have authority about myself, so I can actually guide my child on all these kind of moments. So yeah.
So it's combining the culture and the habits with what feels right and what gives rhythm again.
When it's 30 degrees and your child is warm and and it's nice at sea, that you actually can sit still there. Yeah. Then you don't go home and say, well, you have to go to bed. Yeah. But
because that's following a system that you read or you're trying to follow, and it's disrupting the moment.
But when you know that it's not good for my child because every time she's upset, then you have to find a different way and applying your rules. So rhythm.
Yes. Rhythm.
Rhythm.
Clarity, consistency, authority, affection. I think we've tapped on all of those.
Yeah.
Another common query that you hear from parents is, how far do you push them to follow on a hobby? And or how far do you listen to them and take them seriously when they say, I want the uniform, I want the guitar, I want the roller skates. And then you end up buying them, and a few weeks or a few months later they're disheartened. And how do you encourage the child without feeling like a fool, but at the same time without not saying, no, you're not going because you fooled me last time, and potentially you're not giving them the chance to try out something?
Depends, like the small things that you have like a toy, they can try out, and then when it's not very expensive, then you say like, okay, that you can have for when you want to have a Barbie for your birthday and changing the Barbies, and you know that your child likes it. Of course you buy it. Yeah, you don't want to stop your child.
Yes.
We don't want to limit it or giving it limitations. But yeah, like talking about it, like that you really take it serious that they want to do that, because you can have an opinion saying like, my child is not so sporty and now he wants to have this kind of soccer
like I
outfit
felt.
or rollerblades, while your daughter is not actually really like an athlete on it. Yeah. That when you spoil it already by saying like, no, you better not, then your opinion is more important than maybe the child that wants to try it. Yeah. But when you explain to your child that it all has consequences and that it all costs money and that it, and that you're very willing to help out, but when it costs a lot of money, or you know already that it maybe is like something that costs a lot of effort to learn, and do I have a child that really wants to learn
all the gadgets
things?
and the whole uniforms
Yeah.
are...
When somebody actually really wants to play the piano, is already on every instrument doing something, then you know that, yeah, maybe we go that side, but we don't buy right away a piano. Yeah.
Yes. And it's not even about the money, even if somebody has the money, it's about the principle of teaching them not to waste or do, you know.
Oh, yeah, everything has consequences. So when you choose something, you have to follow up. And when you actually already know that that is very difficult for my child, then you have to talk about like maybe what actually
how
are
sure
the
they feel.
Yeah,
or...
what the consequences are when you buy it. Yeah, like that you expect then that someone puts time in it. And when you can actually confirm that, and they're telling every time from like, yeah, but I will actually learn. That you say, okay, like when you want to play the piano, so like that we put you first on piano lessons. You go to a place and you learn to play the piano, and then we can always actually later on buy a piano. And it's the same thing with like trying out things. Yeah, like go first to soccer and see if you like the game.
On a spiritual approach, if they have a real talent or inclination with something, they will find it whichever response you give.
Yeah,
they will go to it, right?
Yeah. And also as a parent, you know if something is actually,
for example,
like
my daughter
made.
likes singing and acting, but lately she said, I don't want to go to art drama class and I don't want to go to singing, and I just stopped her because I respected the fact that she said that. A part of me feels like maybe I should have pushed her, encouraged her a bit more, but then I thought she's too young, maybe it's too much on her program.
Yeah.
If she really wants it and has that calling, she will come back to it again.
Yeah, that's actually also what we can actually compare in culture, yeah? Like in China or in Russia. They will the child has a talent, it will be actually developed. Yeah, we go to the singing classes, discipline. The Chinese girl will actually train and train and train and train to be a success.
Oh yeah, was that too Mediterranean of me? To just say it's
no,
fine.
but I mean, there is a kind of culture differences also in that. But when you actually say like, okay, she will actually come back to that, you have to do what feels good for you, because then you know that you do it well for your child.
What would you do? I want what you would do in that same scenario.
I will not buy a piano and then say, yeah, no.
No, but that I can spot she's good at it, but I let her stop.
But you can say like, okay, what's the reason for stopping? So like, is there maybe someone that you don't like, or you can actually
she said
find
it's too much. I want to stay home and play.
That's fine reason.
That is fine.
Fine reason. And you see already here like that these children have so many tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to go to school, they have to go to a creativity class, they have to go to sport, they have to go and play an instrument.
Swim and have to learn English and they have...
Sometimes it's wonderful to be home and play.
Exactly. It's on that...
So like, don't feel guilty about it and say like, she has a whole world in front of her, a whole life in which she can actually like all the time pick it up again.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about it.
Yeah. Through conversation you can detect.
It's not about like my rule and you go to it, I paid for the class.
And a lot of parents that take their kids to junior school told me, actually close relatives as well, that the child complains about not wanting to go, and they're scared if that stems from a bullying kind of scenario that the child is not sharing, or if that stems purely from, it's a bigger school, more responsibilities, less play, more lessons. How do you...
Yeah, sometimes you can always ask also the teacher there what's going on, of course, how the child is reacting in the classroom. If it's fine there, because you see children, mom leaves and they're in tears, but after 5 minutes they're fine. Yeah, so you also need to learn to dare to do things.
Okay.
But when you actually like think about like, okay, maybe there's bullying going on, yeah, investigate.
Investigating.
And ask your child what she does at school or how her day is. Yeah. But sometimes we motivate also our children to go, because actually like when you constantly say like, oh, you don't want to, then we don't do it. Yeah, then it's also
It's
like
the right time to
Yeah.
to give them a bit of motivation, especially on transition periods from kindergarten to junior school.
And when you have a child that constantly is ill, yeah, it stays already then home enough, because actually being ill, then you can stay home. You have a reason to stay home. And you have a child that's very healthy, but can also be very tired sometimes, but there's no reason to keep it home. So, but then you say like, I give you a day off. Yeah, and you can stay home for a day. You can actually help me. So at that time, like they feel that there's also this kind of home, that safety at home, that sometimes you also can actually.
But just for a day.
That's just for a day, because they're not sick.
Otherwise, you know, they
No.
can love it.
No, it's just for a day.
And speaking now that you touched this issue of, there's a lot of controversy about how healthy is it to go on a school where there's a structure and a social culture there being imposed upon your child, parts of which you might not agree with as a mother or a father, and versus the idea of homeschooling. And I was discussing it with close friends the other day, and we were saying how no matter what homeschooling can offer, it cannot be the same as the normal school, even if it's a school without all the virtues and values that you preach and believe in, because it gives the child the opportunity to be around society, right?
Yes. I mean, when you live on an island and there is no school, then of course it's the best solution is no choice.
Yes.
But when you have choice, it's good to have your child go into a kind of community and learning social skills, even when you don't like it always, but you learn from that.
And I always say the parts that you don't like and you're upset that your child is reading a book that you don't fully agree with because that's the curriculum from the Greek government or whatever, you can always teach them certain beliefs at home. You don't have to rely on whatever is being imposed upon or brainwashed by that system. So you can fix in a way that the drawback.
Yeah, so you can say like at home we have our rules and we are the parents at home. And so like the boss of the rules in a way. And the teacher is that at school. So you also give that kind of permission that it is different.
Yes, yes. They don't like the idea of like religion maybe being imposed upon the brains of the child. And then therefore if I homeschool them, then they won't be raised with these minds of thinking in a more limited way. I don't know what they believe, or I'm not saying I don't fully agree or not or disagree, but I still believe that the importance and the lesson and the teaching that arises out of putting and placing the child around his peers and it supersedes. I'm wondering if that's right.
Yeah, it's learning to make friends and being social and also helping out each other. I think it's our skills that we all need to learn.
Schooling and even higher education is about learning to live on my own. It's about learning to socialize, not just about learning geography and...
Definitely.